The wind howled through the streets of West March as a group of 4 battle-hardened warriors gathered in the Raging Boar Tavern. As the night wore on, a ragged stranger stumbled in and warned of the coming of the infernal choir. The heroes left to investigate and followed the trail of dark energy to a forest clearing, where they encountered a demonic orchestra playing a haunting melody. But this was only the beginning. Little did they know that their battle against the infernal choir was only the prelude to an epic saga that would see them travel across kingdoms, face unspeakable horrors, and confront their own inner demons. It was a tale of heroism, sacrifice, and redemption that would be told for generations to come. And it all began that fateful night in the Raging Boar Tavern, when destiny brought the 4 warriors together to face the ultimate evil. The wind howled through the narrow streets of West March as the evening fog crept in, shrouding the city in a haunting, otherworldly mist. The people of the city were no strangers to the supernatural, having faced the Reapers just a few years prior. But there was an uneasy feeling in the air, as if something was brewing in the shadows. The city's inhabitants retreated to the safety of their homes, battening down the hatches and whispering prayers to the gods for protection. In the depths of the city, the echoes of the wind were drowned out by the cacophony of laughter and raucous jeers emanating from the infamous tavern, the Raging Boar. The establishment was a haven for mercenaries, adventurers, and those who sought solace in the bottom of a flagon. The tavern's owner, a burly man with a mane of wild red hair and a fiery beard, bellowed out orders to his serving girls and barmaids, who were struggling to keep up with the demands of the boisterous patrons. At a corner table, huddled under the dim glow of a flickering oil lamp, sat a group of 4 hardened warriors. Each had braved the terrors of Sanctuary and had faced their own demons both figuratively and literally. Their eyes were alight with the fire of battle, and their laughter rang out like the clash of steel on steel. There was the barbarian, Borak, with his bulging muscles and primal rage. The demon hunter, Elara, her cunning and deadly precision unmatched. The monk, Karazim, a master of the mystic arts and unyielding disciple of the gods. And the necromancer, Leva, a cold and calculated practitioner of the dark arts. Together, they had ventured through the depths of hell and emerged victorious, time and time again. As the night wore on, the air grew thick with tension, and the once lively atmosphere of the tavern began to take on an oppressive weight. The laughter and merriment slowly ebbed away, replaced by a sense of unease that crept through the room like an unseen specter. The wind outside had reached a fever pitch, and the walls of the tavern creaked and groaned under the relentless assault. It was then, in the dead of night, when the doors to the Raging Boar were flung open, and a ragged, wild-eyed man stumbled through the entrance. His clothes were torn and tattered, and his face was a tapestry of cuts and bruises. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned towards the stranger as he staggered towards the bar. I need to speak to someone. Strong, he gasped, his voice barely audible over the howling wind. His legs gave out beneath him, and he collapsed on the floor, his body racked with tremors. The 4 heroes exchanged a glance before rising from their table and approaching the stranger. Elara knelt beside him, her eyes scanning his injuries. "Who did this to you?" she asked, her voice tinged with urgency. The man's eyes fluttered open, and he reached out to grab Elara's arm, his grip weak and trembling. The voices. The infernal choir. They're coming. We're all doomed. Then, as suddenly as he had appeared, the man's body went limp, and he let out a final shuddering breath. The room was silent, save for the howling wind and the pounding of their own hearts in their ears. The four heroes exchanged a look of grim determination, knowing that they could not ignore this dire warning. As they prepared to leave the tavern, the wind outside died down, and an eerie silence fell over the city of West March. The sense of foreboding that had gripped the city was now palpable, and the shadows seemed to whisper the names of the damned. The four heroes made haste through the deserted streets of West March, their footsteps echoing through the night as they searched for any signs of the mysterious infernal choir that the dying man had spoken of. The air was heavy with unease, and each of them could feel the tendrils of dark energy snaking through the city, coiling around their hearts and threatening to choke the life from them. As they reached the city's outer limits, they could see the sky beginning to churn and roil, the inky blackness pierced by jagged bolts of crimson lightning. The ground beneath their feet trembled, and a low, mournful wail seemed to emanate from deep within the earth. The heroes exchanged a glance, their resolve steeling them against the rising tide of darkness. With each step, the sense of impending doom grew stronger, and the air grew thick with the stench of sulfur and brimstone. The heroes ventured beyond the city walls, following the trail of dark energy that permeated the air. It led them to the heart of a dense forest, where the twisted trees seemed to be reaching out to ensnare them in their gnarled grasp. The darkness was suffocating, and the silence was broken only by the distant rumbling of the storm overhead. As they pressed deeper into the forest, they began to hear a faint, discordant melody carried on the wind. The haunting tune seemed to be emanating from the center of the woods, and the heroes quickened their pace, their instincts telling them that they were closing in on the source of the darkness. The forest eventually gave way to a clearing, and in the center stood a massive, blackened tree. Its gnarled roots clawed at the earth like the fingers of some ancient, malevolent deity, and the air around it pulsed with an almost palpable malevolence. The twisted branches of the tree seemed to form a natural amphitheater, and it was here that the heroes discovered the source of the infernal music. Huddled around the base of the tree was a grotesque gathering of demonic creatures, their twisted forms writhing and contorting as they chanted in unison. Their voices merged together in a cacophonous symphony that seemed to shake the very earth beneath their feet. In their midst stood a figure cloaked in shadows, its face hidden beneath a dark hood. The figure appeared to be conducting the demonic choir, its hands weaving intricate patterns in the air as it directed the hellish ensemble. The heroes knew that they had to put an end to the infernal choir before its power could grow any stronger. With a battle cry, they charged into the clearing, weapons at the ready. The demons turned to face them with blood-curdling snarls, their twisted forms shifting and morphing into even more nightmarish visages. A fierce battle ensued, with the heroes displaying their well-honed skills and unyielding determination. Borak's mighty axe cleaved through the demonic ranks, his primal fury driving him forward. Elara's arrows found their marks with deadly precision, her cunning and agility unmatched. Kharazim's fists moved with the grace and speed of the wind, the divine power of his martial arts striking his foes down, and Leva's mastery of the dark arts allowed her to command the very forces of death, turning the demons' power against them. The battle raged on, and the heroes fought with every ounce of strength they possessed. But even as they cut down the demonic horde, more rose to take their place. The infernal choir's song growing louder and more discordant with each passing moment. The cloaked figure continued to conduct the unholy symphony, its power growing with each demonic voice that joined the chorus. Realizing that the only way to end the battle was to confront the conductor of the infernal choir, the heroes fought their way through the demonic ranks, their resolve unwavering. As they drew closer to the cloaked figure, the darkness that surrounded it began to dissipate, revealing a face twisted by corruption and hatred. The conductor was once a mortal, a powerful sorcerer who had been seduced by the dark arts and had sought to harness the power of the infernal choir for his own twisted ends. But the darkness had consumed him, turning him into a monstrous puppet for the demonic forces that he had sought to control. As the heroes faced the twisted sorcerer, they knew that they had to destroy him to sever his connection to the infernal choir and banish the darkness that threatened to consume the world. With a final surge of strength, the heroes pressed their attack, their combined might overwhelming the sorcerer. As the sorcerer fell, the infernal choir's song came to an abrupt halt, the demonic horde vanishing into the shadows as their connection to the mortal world was severed. The heroes stood victorious in the desolation of the battlefield, battered but unbowed, their wills unbroken. In the silence that followed, they knew that they had once again saved Sanctuary from the grip of darkness. But they also knew that the battle against the forces of evil was never truly over. As long as darkness existed in the hearts of men, there would always be those who would seek to harness it for their own twisted ends. Together, the heroes vowed to continue their fight against the darkness, their bonds of loyalty forged anew in the fires of battle. And so, the tale of the infernal choir came to an end. But the legend of the four heroes of Sanctuary would live on, a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in shadow. The heroes followed the trail of dark energy to a forest where they discovered the source of the darkness, a portal to the infernal realm. They battled their way through hordes of demons and closed the portal, preventing the infernal choir from entering their world. Though they emerged victorious, the heroes knew that there would always be another battle to fight, another evil to vanquish. They left the forest with a renewed sense of purpose and a steadfast determination to protect their world from the forces of darkness. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.